You feel awkward in social situations, even after reading dozens of self-help books and forcing yourself to fake it till you make it. What if you could become genuinely confident without pretending, without affirmations, without feeling like an imposter?
In this video, I'll share 6 psychology-backed methods that naturally build unshakable confidence from the inside out.
I discovered these methods after years of forcing confidence and feeling exhausted from constantly performing. Research from Stanford's psychology department shows that forced confidence actually increases anxiety and creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Your brain knows you're pretending, which makes you feel even worse. The problem is, most confidence advice tells you to act confident before you feel confident, which is like building a house on quicksand. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to cultivate real confidence that doesn't drain your energy. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most people have the confidence equation completely backwards. The competence-first approach means building confidence by actually getting good at something, rather than trying to feel confident first. It's the radical idea that you don't need confidence to start. You need small, repeated successes that create evidence your brain can't deny. Confidence becomes a natural byproduct, not a prerequisite. Research from the University of Toronto found that genuine confidence comes from what psychologists call self-efficacy, the evidence-based belief that you can handle challenges. When you force confidence, your brain knows there's no evidence to support it, creating internal conflict. But when you build competence through deliberate practice, your brain develops neural pathways that associate that activity with success. Japanese martial arts masters call this shuhari, the principle that mastery creates natural confidence, not the other way around. First, choose one skill you want to develop, not 10, just one. Second, break it down into ridiculously small practice sessions. Instead of become a great public speaker, start with speak one sentence clearly in front of a mirror. Third, track your micro improvements in a journal or app. Write down every tiny win, no matter how small. Fourth, avoid comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. For instance, instead of forcing yourself to give a TED Talk when you're terrified of speaking, record yourself speaking for 30 seconds daily. Common mistake: practicing randomly without tracking progress, which makes your brain miss the pattern of improvement. But building competence alone isn't enough if you're sabotaging yourself with negative thoughts. That's where our next method comes in. This next one is crucial because your brain is wired to remember failures more than successes. The evidence journal is a daily practice where you document objective proof of your capabilities, achievements, and progress. Not affirmations or wishful thinking, actual evidence. Think of it as building a legal case for your own competence that your anxious mind can't argue with, using facts instead of feelings. Psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman's research on learned helplessness shows that confidence collapses when we focus on what we can't control. The evidence journal rewires this by training your attention on what you can do. Neuroscientist Dr. Rick Hansen explains that our brains have a negativity bias. We're hardwired to remember threats and failures. By deliberately recording positive evidence, you're counteracting evolution's survival mechanism and creating new neural patterns that support confidence. This works because you're not lying to yourself. You're correcting the imbalance. First, every evening, write down 3 specific things you did well that day. Not vague statements like "I was good," but concrete actions. "I asked a clarifying question in the meeting." Second, include how you handled challenges. "I felt nervous but spoke anyway." Third, once a week, review the entire journal to see patterns of growth. Fourth, when self-doubt creeps in, read your evidence aloud. For instance, instead of thinking "I'm not confident," you'll have 30 pages proving "I've handled difficult situations before." Common mistake: waiting until you feel confident to start. Begin when you feel worst. Now let's talk about something even more powerful that confident people do without realizing it. Most people don't know this, but avoidance is confidence's silent killer. Strategic exposure therapy means gradually facing uncomfortable situations in controlled doses, systematically expanding your comfort zone instead of forcing yourself into overwhelming situations. It's the difference between jumping into the deep end and drowning, versus slowly wading deeper while learning to swim along the way. Research from the Anxiety and Depression Association shows that every time you avoid a fear, you train your brain that the fear was justified, reinforcing the belief that you can't handle it. But controlled exposure does the opposite. It proves to your nervous system that you can survive discomfort. This isn't about conquering fear completely. It's about training your brain through repeated evidence that uncomfortable doesn't mean dangerous. The Japanese concept of kaizen, continuous small improvements, applies perfectly here. Tiny exposures create big confidence shifts over time. First, create a fear ladder with 10 steps from easiest to hardest. If your fear is public speaking, step 1 might be speak in front of a mirror. Step 10 is give a presentation to 50 people. Second, start at step 1 and don't move up until it feels boring, not just tolerable. Third, schedule these exposures in your calendar like appointments. Consistency matters more than intensity. Fourth, after each exposure, immediately note what you learned, not how you felt. For instance, instead of forcing yourself to go to a networking event when social situations terrify you, start by making small talk with one barista daily. Common mistake, skipping steps because you're impatient, which creates setbacks. But wait, there's more to this, because how you talk to yourself during these exposures changes everything. Now, you might be thinking this sounds weird, but stay with me. This technique is scientifically proven. The third-person perspective means talking to yourself using your name or you instead of I when facing challenges. Instead of I'm nervous, you say your name is nervous or you've got this. It creates psychological distance that reduces emotional intensity and increases clarity. Research from Michigan State University found that third-person self-talk activates different brain regions than first-person self-talk. When you use I, you're fused with the emotion. When you use your name or you, your brain processes the situation more objectively, the same way it will. Give advice to a friend. This is why you can give great advice to others but struggle with your own problems. Studies show this technique reduces anxiety by 20 to 30% and improves performance under pressure. Elite athletes use this constantly without realizing it. First, before any challenging situation, talk to yourself using your name out loud if possible. Name. You've prepared for this. Second, during the challenge, mentally coach yourself in second person. You're doing fine. Keep going. Third, afterward, evaluate in third person. Name handled that well, even though it was uncomfortable. Fourth, practice this daily with small decisions to build the habit. For instance, instead of thinking I'm so awkward during a conversation, think you're learning. Keep asking questions. Common mistake, using third person to criticize yourself harshly, which backfires. Maintain the tone you'd use with a friend. This brings me to the next secret that quietly confident people practice every single day. Here's where it gets really interesting, and this might completely change how you think about confidence. The contribution focus means shifting your attention from how am I being perceived to how can I add value. It's the realization that confidence comes from service, not self-monitoring. When you focus on contributing to others, self-consciousness disappears because your attention is externally directed toward impact, not internally focused on judgment. Stanford psychologist Dr. Kelly McGonigal's research shows that self-focused attention increases anxiety and decreases performance, while other focused attention creates what she calls the helper's high, reduced stress and increased confidence. This works because confidence isn't about you being impressive. It's about forgetting yourself entirely by being useful. In Japanese culture, this concept is called ikai, igai, finding purpose through contribution. When you're genuinely focused on helping or adding value, there's no mental energy left for insecurity. First, before any social or professional situation, ask yourself, what can I give here? Not what will I get. Second, in conversations, focus on asking genuine questions and listening, rather than planning what to say next. Third, identify one way you can make someone's day easier in every interaction. Fourth, reframe nerve-wracking situations as service opportunities. For instance, instead of entering a job interview thinking, I hope they like me, think, let me show them how I can solve their problems. Common mistake, using this as a manipulation tactic rather than genuine service. People sense the difference. Your intention must be authentic. Now, let's talk about the physical side of confidence that most people completely ignore, even though it's foundational. This last one is crucial because your body and mind aren't separate. They're constantly communicating. The body-first protocol means using your physiology to influence your psychology through specific postures, breathing patterns, and physical practices. It's based on the science of embodied cognition, the idea that your physical state directly creates emotional states, not just reflects them. Change your body, change your confidence. Harvard researcher Amy Cuddy's studies show that holding expansive postures for just 2 minutes increases testosterone, confidence hormone, and decreases cortisol, stress hormone. But it goes deeper. Research from the University of Auckland found that sitting upright increases positive affect and reduces self-focus. Your nervous system constantly scans your body for safety signals. When you breathe deeply and stand tall, you're literally telling your brain we're safe, we can be confident. This works through the vagus nerve, which connects body to emotional regulation. First, establish a confidence posture you use before challenges: shoulders back, chin level, feet shoulder width apart, deep breaths. Practice this for 2 minutes before important situations. Second, throughout your day, do posture check-ins every hour. Notice if you're collapsed or contracted and adjust. Third, adopt box breathing during stress. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Fourth, add a physical practice like yoga, martial arts, or weightlifting that teaches body awareness. For instance, instead of hunching over your phone scrolling before a meeting, stand tall, roll your shoulders back, and breathe deeply for 90 seconds. Common mistake thinking this is fake confidence. It's not fake, it's biological. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1, the competence-first approach. Build skills, confidence follows naturally. Number 2, the evidence journal method. Document proof your brain can't argue with. Number 3, strategic exposure therapy. Gradually expand your comfort zone systematically. Number 4, third-person perspective shift. Talk to yourself like a trusted friend. Number 5, contribution focus formula. Serve others, forget yourself entirely. Number 6, body first protocol. Use physiology to create confident psychology. Remember, real confidence isn't about pretending or performing. It's about building evidence, expanding capacity, and directing your focus outward. You have everything you need to become genuinely confident without forcing it. The only difference between feeling like an imposter and feeling genuinely confident is consistent practice of these 6 methods. Don't wait until you feel ready to start implementing these. That feeling never comes before the action. Start with just one method today. I recommend the evidence journal because it's the easiest to begin and creates momentum quickly. I promise you, 30 days from now, you'll thank yourself for starting today. instead of waiting. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with others who need it. Subscribe for more psychology-backed self-improvement content that actually works without toxic positivity. Drop a comment telling me which of these 6 methods you're starting with today. I read every single one. And if you want to learn how to eliminate social anxiety completely, check out this video next where I break down the neuroscience of social fear. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.